Good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. Today is Friday, September 12th, 2025. And it's definitely cooling down, getting darker in the morning here in southwestern Nevada, where we are west of Sin City, east of Death Valley, south of Area 51. Hard scrabble territory. A lot of sharp elbowed, rootin' tootin', pistol packing people who I got mine, nobody helped me, I can't afford it, you got to take care of yourself mentality. Yeah, if you're living out in the desert, it's because you want to mentality. Okay, so it's a great fertile ground to learn how best to, in a practical way, how best to follow Matthew chapter 25, verses, I don't know where it starts, in the 30s to the 40s. At the end of judgment, people will be separated, the sheep on one side and the goats on the other, and they'll be given an explanation of why each are on their own side. And it comes down to, what did you do? Not what did you believe? What did you do when it came to my commandments? The 3 commandments: love God, love one another, make disciples. Did you love me by following my commandments? What is that, Luke 17:21? Did you do what I asked you to do? Did you demonstrate you love me because you did what I asked you to do? Did you actually love one another by helping one another? Did you go out and make disciples? Or were you just in your prayer closet, your metaphorical or your physical prayer closet, focused on your own salvation? Were you like the servant who I gave a great gift to, a bunch of money to, and said, invest it for me? Were you like the third guy who said, well, I was afraid of losing it. You're a tough master, and I was afraid of losing it, so I just buried it so it would be safe? Are you like that person? You're not out there in the mission field, as they say. You're just in your prayer closet, focused on your own salvation, worshiping the master. I am not worthy. Okay, so it's fertile ground to be doing what we're instructed to do, to actually help. It's not that hard to actually help people in need. It's not hard to demonstrate you love God with all your heart and mind and soul by actually helping people who need help. It's not hard to do that here. So very fertile ground. All right, so we're 4 minutes in. Again, it's Friday, another day, another opportunity to make something happen. Okay, our theme of today is what? Man's search for meaning. Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. And I would say Viktor Frankl in many ways is like Spinoza, in that he got it almost right. There's only one little thing he didn't consider. He got it almost right. But he was Jewish, not Christian. So he really didn't know of Jesus. Okay, that's our theme for today, Man's Search for Meaning. But before that, let's focus on advice from an 80-year-old. Why is that important? Why is advice from an 80-year-old important? Well, advice from an 80-year-old is important because it's sort of time tested. Time tested. So an 80-year-old probably got the advice when they're in their 20s, maybe before that, maybe 60 years ago. And they probably got it from somebody who was an adult in their 40s. So let's say that's the thing. So 60 years old, somebody got advice from somebody in their 40s who got it 20 years earlier. So that's like, it stretches back 100 years. It's not AI generated, which may or may not be true, but this is like advice from an 80-year-old. Choose your life's mate carefully. From this one decision will come 90% of all of your happiness or misery. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, good. How about Seth Godin? Seth Godin. Oh, let me go back. We'll do this in editing, right? Okay. Editing. Yeah, let's go back. Today, Friday, September 12th. This is week 1, day 5 in our neuroscience-oriented approach to success. This is almost the end of week 1, and week 1 is our intro and orientation. And what are we trying to do here? Well, for our intro and orientation, we are trying to answer 2 questions. Who am I and why do I behave the way I do? And the who am I is from a neuroscience perspective. Well, yeah, from a neuroscience perspective, meaning I have a body. What is the body made of? It's made of cells, right? How many cells? Trillions of cells, or at least 1 trillion cells. And plus 10 times that amount of bacteria on us. So we're made of cells. Okay, well, how do these cells, there's 1 trillion cells, none of them know us and none of them care who we are. And we have this brain, which is the most complicated thing in the universe other than the universe. How does it work? So these are the questions. Who am I from that perspective? We've got this 3-pound lump of something that's the consistency of butter. What does it? How does it work? What does it do? And the idea is, if we can answer the question, who am I? The questions, who am I and why do I behave the way I do? If we can answer those 2 questions, then we can dial in who we need to be right now. In other words, we're not passive agents. We're not marionettes on a string being controlled by an invisible force that we've created in our mind. Okay, so our mind isn't relegating control of our body to an imagined outside force, which could be a force for good or bad, or it could be my own internal demons are causing me to behave the way I do. My addiction is causing me to behave the way I do. So we don't have this loop, a self-created behavioral loop where we've created an external force. We've created the belief in an external force that controls our current behavior. Right. Spooky language. Okay. So week 1, this is coming to the end of week 1. We have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 more days, and our overview and orientation are over. Our purpose in the 4 weeks is to answer those 2 questions from a neuroscience perspective, not a metaphysical, not a psychological, not a spiritual, from a just hard neuroscience. Who am I and why do I behave the way I do? With the goal, again, of being able to dial in who I need to be. All right, so that's it. Now, on with Seth Godin. Seth Godin. No time? It's easy to announce we don't have time for a new skill or a generous act. But the truth is, we probably could find the time. What we don't have is energy or motivation. Find that, and you'll probably find the time. Find that, and you'll probably find the time. Find the energy or motivation. We'll find the time. Okay, cool. Let's see what else we got on here. Daily Stoic talking about memento mori. We're going to die. No one is going to escape it. We are going to shuffle this mortal coil. And if you believe we have a soul or a spirit, if you believe we are essentially spirit and we have this body, we should be looking forward to what comes next. We should be living for what comes next. On the other hand, if you believe we are just atoms in the void, that we are just the result of the probability that we are just this random-ish sort of conglomeration of cells that somehow, poof, we got life, poof, we got we have this incredible consciousness. You believe that that was just by chance, just random probability. And I think they say the odds of that are like a chimpanzee writing all of the works of the great authors one time through on the first try. Yes, it's possible. And I think Father Spitzer has calculated that as like 1 over 10 to the 250th power squared, right? You know, just some incredible number, but it's like, yes, we can get that down to a probability, a statistical probability that the odds of that happening are 1 in several hundred trillion Brazilians. A very big number, which is like, yeah, it's either that or we are spirit or we're not that. And here we choose to believe we are spirit. We have a body right now. The body is going to wear out and the spirit will continue in the trajectory it was heading. And that what Jesus said is true, that Jesus was the creator incarnate, that Jesus was resurrected. That is the key. There's the rub. Okay. Man's Search for Meaning. Viktor Frankl. We've got about 6 minutes left talking about Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl. I think he was a psychiatrist. He might have been a psychologist. I think he was a psychiatrist. I think he was a doctor. And he is, I think, called the third school or the fourth school. You have Freud, Jung, and you have Frankl. I think that's kind of it. Anyway, his career got interrupted by World War II. Being a Jew, he was being a Jew in Germany. Big problem. He could have come to America but left his family behind. He decided, nope, can't do that. Went to the camps, spent 3 years, and he survived. And then he wrote a book, which he had a manuscript for before he went in. He brought it with him when they had to turn over all their possessions. He asked the reception guy, the guy who was checking everybody in, the little clerk, please save this, it's very important. And the guy said, of course we will. And as Viktor Frankl left the room, going on to the next room, he looked back only to see the clerk throw it in the garbage can. So not only is it, I'm going to probably my death, but everything I have ever created, the masterpiece of my life was just thrown in the garbage, lost forever. I will be lost forever, and my works will be lost forever. So that was welcome to the Third Reich. Anyway, he was in camp about 3 years, the tough camps, Dachau, Auschwitz. and wasn't really treated any better than anyone else. And he, being well trained, educated, kind of observed things that were going on, and he noticed some people die and some people didn't die. Some people died because they got sick. Some people died because they got beaten to death. Some people died because they were sent to the showers, to the locker room. But the interesting ones were the people who didn't die. He spent his time thinking about, why didn't they die? Why didn't everybody die? Or why didn't everybody live? And it came down to really summarizing a summary of a summary. The people who didn't die could see a future with them in it. A lot of the people who died gave up. And when they gave up, they got sick or they behaved in a way that got them killed. But the ones who could see themselves in the future, he describes an event that he had where he saw himself in the future. So he had meaning. There was a reason to live. And he adopted Nietzsche's quote, he who has a why can find almost any how. If you have a reason to live, you'll find how to live. If you have a reason to learn this, you'll find a way to learn it. And so he started applying this to the people there. And one of the conclusions he came to is, we can't control what they do to us. We can only control how we choose to respond. And he said the Nazis, I think he gives an anecdote where the Nazis are like, what is your mental malfunction? How come you have this positive attitude or this keep going attitude? And his response was, you can take everything from me, including my life, except for one thing, how I choose to respond. That you can't do. And so from there, or as part of that, it was the idea of we are searching for meaning. We don't ask, what is the meaning of life? Life asks us, what is the meaning of your life? And we have to provide an answer to that question. And his idea is, if you orient yourself to that idea, that we have to find meaning for our life. We have to create the meaning. Meaning isn't there for us to find. It's not, in today's video, they say it's not like happiness isn't in your house and you have to go find it. It needs to be cultivated. And it's cultivated by the acts that we do. And of course, that can tie into Matthew 25, right? Helping the less fortunate. Right? Yes. So, Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. Very good video today. And he talks about that concept of cultivating meaning in our life and how we choose to respond to the things that go on around us. Like I said in the very, very beginning, Viktor Frankl's problem, like Spinoza, like Baruch Spinoza, was he did not know of Jesus. And so he almost got it right. So if Viktor Frankl had known about Jesus, he would know about Matthew chapter 25 in the 30s and 40s and get that, as Jesus said, at the end, everybody's going to be divided. The sheep's on one side, the goat's on the other side. And the sheep are going to be told, welcome, because when I was hungry, you fed me. When I was thirsty, you gave me drink. You clothed me. You gave me shelter. When I was sick, you helped me. You visited me in jail. And to the other side, he said, well, you don't get to go. You don't get to enjoy the kingdom of heaven because when I was hungry, you didn't feed me. You didn't give me drink when I was thirsty. You didn't clothe me. You didn't help me when I was sick. You didn't help me with shelter. You didn't visit me in prison or in jail. And the sheep said, well, when did we do that? The other one said, well, when did we see you hungry or thirsty or naked or unhoused or sick or in jail? When did we see you that way? And he said to both of them, they both said, when did we see you that way? He said, when you saw it in the least of people, you saw it in me. There I was. You don't help them, you don't help me. Luke 17:21. People will say, Lord, Lord, we did all of these things in your name. I prayed every day. I was in my prayer closet. I worshiped you every day. I saw that you had a plan for me. I was just waiting for you. I was the servant who you gave the money to, and I buried it because I didn't want to lose it. He'll say, well, you didn't do what my father asked you to do. You didn't follow my commandments. You didn't do the things, so you don't get to do it. Had Spinoza or Frankel known that's what Jesus said, they would have had an answer to their questions. What does man search for meaning? Well, it's as Jesus said, love God, follow what he says to do, actually do, love one another, make disciples. To Spinoza, it would have been God is not all things. God, it's not siva, Deus siva natura. It was God is in all things. God is there. He's not absent. That's what he would have said to Spinoza. You got it almost right, but I was there and you didn't do the things I asked you to do. You felt God and nature are one. No, you're not a passive agent. You're contemplatives in action. Action. So what are the deeds you do to demonstrate that? Okay. Well, way over our time, people. My apologies. Thank you for being here. What is our goal? To build better habits, create a routine, and repetition, repetition, repetition. Build better habits. That is the secret to being successful in life. Have good habits, build better habits. Get comfortable being uncomfortable, and we're going to say cut.